I am dying from excitement from the Viego reveal, just like my goldfish died after I won it from a spelling bee. But don't worry, he was easily replaced, just like I replaced a soul in my heart with Viego. Viego, the king of red flags and a massive yandere, has so many interesting mechanics, from his encroaching mist to his yoink mechanic. If given the chance, Viego will carry the game better than Elise in a game of Marco Polo by pure stats alone. Viego's a 5-mana 5/4 with Fearsome, which by itself isn't quite the best stat line, but it's in his ability and his encroaching mists where he really shines. The first time every round an ally dies, summon an encroaching mist, and every time an encroaching mist is summoned, give Viego and all the other encroaching mists +1/+1. That is insane. If you let him freely scale, you will be living the fantasy of sending out the ruination and endless waves of the mist. Just after 2 encroaching mists, Viego becomes a 7/6. He becomes a giant unit after just a couple turns of your own units dying. And with extra units dying, he levels up even faster, which lets him get to his steal ability faster, which is amazing. That's an amazing ability right there. In my opinion, one thing that's kind of awkward about him though is that your units normally die in combat, and so you can't use your encroaching mists in combat, and they could just kind of die uselessly because they're ephemeral. Like, the Shadow Isles, especially with the new expansion coming out, has ways to kill their own units. You know, you've got the kill your own unit, draw 2 cards. Like, you've got options, and even Shyvana has a couple of cards like Rite of Negation to kill your own units. That can kind of cover up the awkwardness, but it's still a bit awkward having to kill your own units and then attack. And if you don't have those options, your encroaching mists are kind of just useless. Now, with all that talking out of the way, let's get on to the 3 decks that I will be playing day 1 when Viego gets released. Take this with a grain of salt though, I'm the type of person that's trying to make Aurelion Sol and Viego work in a deck together. I don't think that dream is ever becoming a reality though. Cards you'll have to include for the main Viego archetype is Encroaching Mist. You just get so many stats and you'll level Viego even faster, which is obviously something good. You need Viego, obviously. You can't have a Viego deck without, Viego. Just like you can't have a birthday party without the birthday boy. I wish my parents knew that, though. Chemovoran Soldier is also amazing. It's a 3-mana 3/3, but it also summons an Encroaching Mist. But then it just pushes Viego. It gives Viego a stat boost. It gives other Encroaching Mist stat boost. It's just amazing. You'll also want to include Glimpse Beyond, obviously. Just it's free draw and you kill units. Shark Chariot, I feel like also is a good include, because once you actually start attacking with Encroaching Mist, it's just free extra damage that can't be stopped. And I also believe the Rekindler may be a good card to include for the slower decks, because Viego is just such an important win condition that if he gets removed constantly, it'll be very important to bring him back. Deck number 1, They Who Endure. Pretty straightforward deck. You just have a lot of your units die early, finish them off with They Who Endure, and if you have 2 atrocities. Pretty straightforward. Deck number 2, Best Frenemies Forever. I believe Lucian actually fits with Viego's game plan quite nicely, because Lucian wants to be aggressive early. You want to set up an early board, probably level Lucian, and then Viego will have the time and space and breathing room to actually come down without getting immediately murdered. Viego fills Lucian with an unearthly amount of rage, just like I'm filled with an unearthly amount of rage when people complain about how other people play video games. Shotgun's a legitimate strategy. Just because you're too close-minded to even think about standing farther away doesn't mean it's a bad way to play. Stop complaining and just play better. That's just my silly little opinion, though. You want early pressure and will have minions dying often, allowing Lucian to level, possibly kill the opponent outright, or just waste their removals. Demacia also has Grand Plaza, which really helps you set an amazing early board and keep the pressure up in the mid to late game. Another Demacia deck is Shyvana Viego, because Viego's getting quite a few dragons in the Shadow Isles with this upcoming expansion. That is also a good deck because, dragons are cool, first of all, and they're just pretty good. Deck number 3, or 4 now, because I included Shyvana. Scaly Murder Bros. Shurima has denies, removals, and debuffs if you're willing to kill your own units. Just like sharks are willing to kill their own children. That's exactly what Viego wants to do anyways. This deck is a slower variant that has denies and removals, but still enough of an early board presence to allow Viego or Nasus to come down safely on board. This still might be too slow because we have Draven Jinx, Pike Rek'Sai, Irelia Azir, just pure spiders. Like, there's so many decks, aggressive decks that are common, but I still think this deck has enough, has enough merit to at least try. Viego's really cool, and I can't wait till he comes out on July 14th. Which of these 4 decks do you think will do the best, and what decks will you be playing on his release?